DIY.
DIYers who knew that hip hop could take it this far. Man, shout out to Joe Budden Podcast. The Joe Budden Podcast makes $20 million a year. What?
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Who thought that hip hop could take it this far? Shout out to Joe Budden and the crew. There was a story that the New York Post recently did, or the New York Times, recently did with Joe Budden, talking about kind of the ins and out of the Joe Budden Podcast and how it's able to generate so much income yearly, and even what made him leave a guaranteed deal from Spotify that would have paid him more money, and why he chose independence in his DIY era of things. So this is a post someone put up to kind of break it down by the numbers. The more I dive into some of these podcast businesses, the more excited I get about the opportunity. Some details on the Joe Budden Network that does over $20 million in revenue. Now, the Joe Budden Network obviously has housed multiple podcasts, and also Joe Budden Podcast being, of course, the most successful one. Averages about $1 million per month on Patreon. Please join my Patreon. I'm just playing. You see the ads. I'm just playing. 70K. I'm not playing. You better join. 70K paying subs from $5 to $50 per month. $5 to $50 per month people are paying. Sells ads in-house. Right? He's not relying upon some third party. In-house selling ads. And 1.5 million YouTube subs. Man, that's a different way to do it. So I want to go ahead and go into this article because, I see a lot of people talking about the numbers, but there's so many details here, man. And, Joe Budden has definitely been an inspiration for this channel, and seeing him in his next space and how he's been dominating and how he was so early to everything. It's dope to kind of get a lens on things and how it got to the place that it's gotten. So this is written by Jessica Testa. It says the podcaster Joe Budden, an ex-rapper who has been called the Howard Stern of hip hop, wanted to flex a little. He accidentally overflexed. Last month, he posted a screenshot of his traffic from Patreon, a subscription service that allows fans to pay creators directly through monthly contributions. We have one too. Curtis King TV. It showed more than 30 million visits in 30 days. Good God. Revenue figures on the Patreon data has been scribbled over, but sleuths manipulated the image, and to them it appeared that he had earned more than $900,000, a number that made headlines. Yet, that was just his earnings from the month of June. Overall, the Joe Budden Network is on pace to generate more than $20 million this year, according to its chief executive, Ian Schwartzman. He's not even relying upon ad revenue in this conversation. Well, I'm sure that's part of the 20 million, but the $900,000 in Patreon. Shit, I'll be talking a lot of shit too. What you mean? Mr. Budden agreed to share those and other details about his podcast business with the New York Times, offering a rare window into the economics of podcasting. Publishers of shows rarely share details of their revenue or even their download or streaming figures. They want to maintain a competitive edge in the advertising marketplace, and like many private businesses, simply aren't keen to open their books. Well, I think there is a benefit to this in general because it opens you up to more advertisers who may or may not be in the hip hop segment or even interested until they start seeing, this is the kind of, this is what's going on over there. Okay, let's strike up a conversation. Not that this is what this is for, but I think it does present its own benefits. I remember there's a podcast called Entrepreneurs on Fire that did the same thing every single month. He opened up the books and did interviews. I thought that was dope. Mr. Budden's reason for releasing figures now, he said in an interview, goes beyond flexing. He and Mr. Schwartzman want to make a broader argument for maintaining independence as creators. Come on, as DIYers, we love it.
DIY.
They have been podcasting for a decade, although they have spent 2 years working exclusively with Spotify. They are not affiliated with any outside podcast network or media company today. The money coming in. So far this year, the Joe Budden Podcast has earned an average of $1.0 1.04 million per month on Patreon. It has about 70,000 paying subscribers. Subscriptions range from $5 to $50 per month, with higher tiers granted access to more episodes, including from spin-off shows. 2 weekly episodes of the flagship podcast are released free to the general public. This means its 2025 subscription revenue will probably exceed $12 million. Enough to make Mr. Budden the top earner on the crowdfunding platform. So on all of Patreon, insane. That status and Mr. Budden's figures were confirmed by a spokeswoman for Patreon. But subscriptions are not the podcast's only revenue stream. Advertising also generates several $1 million, Mr. Schwartzman said. Mr. Budden, this is so funny reading Joe Budden's name is Mr. Budden, but when you're making that kind of money shit, you better call me Mr. King. I don't care if it's my last name. Mr. King is what they call me. Mr. Budden's company sells its own ads, unlike many other top podcasters who team up with large networks like iHeart, Wondery, or SiriusXM and split the ad revenue. These companies typically offer hosts an upfront check, a minimum guarantee, but control the rates and number of commercials played each episode. So you got podcasts that you listen to that may or may not be aware of all the ads that you're receiving, but based upon their relationship with maybe an MCN, their relationship with this third-party network that they're working with, that's out of their hands, right? They can probably negotiate for the type of ads that pop up. Like, don't you be putting no Manscaped shit on mine. You feel me? Like, not that I'm opposed, but I just don't want to be talking about saving my balls on that. Mrs. Schwartzman said the company tried to not oversaturate our audience with ads, usually working with a maximum of only 3 sponsors at a given time, which independence gives you the freedom to say that or identify how many you want. The network's smaller revenue sources include money from passive advertisements on social media platforms, like the ads that play automatically during his videos on YouTube. So you got the inlay ads and whatnot, the pre-rolls, where Mr. Budden has more than 1.5 million subscribers. He was an early adopter in 2016 of video podcasting. The company also sells merchandise and licenses some of its content. Fam. So many ways, so many streams. The Joe Budden Network employs more than 30 independent contractors in roles such as production and administrative support. Payment of these contractors and the on-air talent is the company's biggest expense. For example, more than $1.5 million annually goes to the co-host of the Joe Budden podcast. Crazy. After inadvertently flashing some of his revenue to 1.7 million Instagram followers, Mr. Budden joked that now everybody's going to ask for a raise. Other costs include production fees, marketing expenses, and real estate. The company is in the process of purchasing for roughly $2 million the waterfront condominium unit in Edgewater, New Jersey, where it records audio and video for the Joe Budden podcast. It currently rents the unit. Residents in the building have complained about sharing space with the operation. When you know it's that much money being made there, I know why they trying to they like pop. How about this? How about you cut us a deal? No. Joe Budden says it's independent over here. DIY. I'm gonna buy it. How about that? Get your little money. Leave me the hell alone. How he got here, Mr. Budden approach reflects an emerging trend among podcasters and creators, a desire for more autonomy or more freedom and equity in every deal with fewer middlemen. Learning this lesson took time. In 2017, while Mr. Budden was co-hosting a show on the culture website Complex, we were just getting by, Mr. Schwartzman said. I was on an allowance, Mr. Budden said, $500 a week.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
$500 a week? My blood pressure would be raising too. You should see the vein pop out the side of his head in some of his interviews. Shit. $500 a week? Well, it still was, 2017? Still, wow. Then from 2018 to 2020, the Joe Budden podcast had a licensing agreement with Spotify that paid the show less than $2 million per year. Mr. Schwartzman said the deal included no shares in advertising revenue. That sounds about Spotify-ish, Apify-ish, or stock. and the podcast could be published only to Spotify. So you're not breaking bread. I don't get any equity in this, and I can only be seen, even though my audience is in multiple places, I can only be seen on your platform. How does that benefit me and the growth that I want to see in my company? After a rather acrimonious split, the podcast sought a new partner, but the right deal never materialized. One potential contract would have paid $44 million over 2 years, for example, but required removing all content from YouTube. I understand why companies do that. It still feels so tone deaf because of the consumption. The exclusivity is a strategy. I'm sure that has worked for some of their other partners, but YouTube is just where folks are going to be at, especially if they know there's video to accompany it. I have never, to this day, and it's probably my personal bias, I never have sat down and watched a video podcast on Spotify. No interest. Period. I'm just playing. What else? The fact that he turned down $44 million over 2 years is incredible. The bigger the money gets, the more strings that are attached. Hello, Mr. Schwartzman said. We wanted someone to acknowledge how valuable we were by showing that they would be comfortable giving us skin in the game. The Creator Wars. Patreon came along in 2021, offering no guaranteed check, but equity in the company and advisory roles for Mr. Budden and Mr. Schwartzman. Did not know they had equity in the company. Joe is in a league of his own, said Jack Conte, chief executive of Patreon. It is not common for people to make $1 million a month on Patreon. The Joe Budden Network reached that milestone in November, maintaining it every month since. Shout out to that.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Recently, subscription platforms like Patreon and its younger competitor Substack have pushed more aggressively for podcasters to sign up, promising independence and control of their intellectual properties, sometimes with grand language about a media revolution. I know this. I've gone to competitors of Patreon. Patreon has just been the most consistent. Patreon, I mean, obviously, you would love for it to ideally be your website, but I love how they don't insert themselves into every aspect of your presentation to your audience. So that's why I chose it. Not to mention, it takes off some of the load of having to, have my own servers and make sure that this subscription, it's no subscription, first of all, for that. And I just like the way the format is and how it allows me to have direct conversations with my subscribers or my patrons. Sometimes with grand language about a media revolution, creators have more leverage and control than actually ever before in the history of the arts, Mr. Conte said. This year, Substack announced a $20 million fund to help entice creators away from Patreon and other rivals. These platforms also benefit from taking a roughly 10% cut of creators' earnings. Podcasters on Patreon earned more than $472 million collectively in 2024, up 35% from 2023, according to the company. So no matter how many of y'all want people to put away a podcast mic, shit like that. Yeah, many creators still feel daunted when they even hear the word paywall, Mr. Budden said. Given the success of Joe Rogan, Alex Cooper, it may seem more attractive to a young podcaster to pursue a big network deal, which is why after the screenshot blunder, Mr. Budden opted to disclose his independent earnings for the first time here. Even if it made him and his business partner uncomfortable to put any money situation out there for the public and competitors to see, Mr. Schwartzman said, how else will they know they can do it this way? Man, shout out to that.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth.
Shout out to that, bro. Man, I don't even want to get into the politics of the Rory and Mal situation and all that. This is how you should do it. Everybody got to answer it. What did Mike Tyson say? Everybody get an answer until they get punched in the face. Everybody knows what to do with somebody else's business until it's your business, until you recognize that even when you're making a certain amount of money, your overhead can make that money look very, very similar to somebody without that money because of the margins being so damn close. When you're not in the position of operating that business, when you're not the one in position of the things that pop up out of nowhere, the camera that goes down, the equipment that goes down, the crew that chose not to show up that day, all of the multiple things that can happen in any given point in time, shut the fuck up. You will never know. You will never know. I think that putting this out here also too, also keeps those already secure relationships even more secure, because you know what it is. There is no hiding any paper. You know exactly what it is. And I think if anything, it allows partners of his to ask more informed questions if they have any. But then also too, it probably attracts a lot of folks who are like, man, how can I get some of that money here? But that comes along with that. I salute him. I salute his team. I salute everything that they've been doing, especially as an artist myself. As an artist myself that, recognizes the industry is a game, right? The record business is a game that a lot of times creatives do not feel like they have any control of until they're in that position, until they're the ones that are able to call the shots. And this is after, they've been shot at for years and years and years. To see him in his position where he still continues to push his way to becoming independent, still pushes for him to have a platform that allows him to say things however he wants to say them, no matter how much issues they may cause. He crosses that when he crosses that. But I love the fact that he has established something that you can't take away. You cannot take away. Even if they try to take away the location, okay, what am I gonna do? Making $1 million a month? What am I gonna do? What location can I go to next? This is the autonomy. This is the freedom I think a lot of us as DIYers want to reach in our own way. Even if it's not those numbers, we all want to achieve that level of creative autonomy where you can do what it is that you want to do. I look at this and I'm kind of encouraged. I'm more encouraged by seeing this and the possibility of him rapping again than I think I'm encouraged to ever see Andre 3000 rapping again. He ain't about to rap again. We finna get that before we get another rap. DIYers, those are my thoughts. Does that surprise you? Did you already kind of know podcasts were generating that? Did you think it was supposed to be more? Leave all those thoughts below in the comments and let's discuss it.